everybody, and welcome back to Healing Conversations with Dr. Carlos Warter and Getrude Matshe. This week has been extremely sobering for me. I received the news of the passing of two very, very close friends to me. One of them was like a mother. She had just celebrated her 70th birthday, vibrant, healthy, had gone to Hawaii on holiday. So I missed her the last time I was in the US. And the second one died 2 days later. A very good friend of mine, 62 years old, an amazing author and editor who was the chief editor for my publishing company. And it has given me pause. I've had to really stop and think about the meaning of life this week, the meaning of our breath, the thing we call life, how we have such little control over our breath. We think we do. We think we've got control of living. So, Dr. Carlos, here we are. You got to meet the beautiful Rose the last time I was in California. We came to your home. We had that beautiful lunch with you and your wife and your friends. And we took those amazing pictures. And I did not know that was the last time I would see my friend. What comes up for you in terms of our breath this week?
First of all, let me express my heartfelt condolences. You had a long relationship with these two women, and as you said, one was like an archetypal mother for you. The other was a partner.
Mm.
I live my life, or intend at least to. Carlos Castañeda, an author of 50 years ago, Separate Reality, Teachings of Don Juan, used to say that we have to have the burden of life and the burden of death sitting on our two shoulders. That means we have to remember, first, that every breath is a gift. Can't take it for granted. I have seen, due to my profession and also in my family, people dying. It is difficult, it is shocking, because in one particular instant, they stop. I was with my mother in Chile the last 7 days, in which I went through hope that she would continue living and knowing that she was terminally ill. I experienced every emotion. As I said, hope, sadness, anger, rationality. And she had asked me to be and hold her hand. And I was in Rome with my wife. We were honeymooning. And I made a phone call and I asked her how she was doing on a Sunday. And I heard a noise. And the noise was oxygen. So I asked her, "You're on oxygen?" "Yes, I'm on oxygen." That minute, I made the decision to fly 16 hours to get to Santiago. And I had the blessing of spending that last week, as I mentioned. And then when she left, because it was very clear that moment I was holding her hand and she exhaled the last breath. The last breath. I stayed there and I meditated and I chanted and I prayed. My father would come in and said, "Cover her." And I said, "No, She hasn't left completely. Only the breath. The sensory motor was still moving a little. The consciousness was still there. And through this chanting, I said goodbye. And then my father came in again and said, she looks more relaxed. And you know, people, when they die, have rigor mortis, which means the muscle tense up and they don't look relaxed. And my father said, her face is rejuvenating. What are you doing? The anguish of her disease was gone. Of course, you know, it wasn't easy. I spent a long, long time grieving till I connected with her in other dimensions. Now, some people say that's my imagination. If it's only my imagination, so be it. But there were very interesting things that I'd like to share with you. I was in London, and there was a psychic that was very well known. Even King Charles III, when he was prince, had consulted him. So this man would tune out and become a transmitter. Psychic transmitter. And my mother said some funny things. She said, how come you want to ask me questions now when I was alive? You didn't want to take any of my advice. I knew it was her. And then she said some other things that gave me a certain level of peace of mind and peace of heart, that it wasn't my imagination, but people transcend. I won't share today certain things, but it was such a validation of her circumstance. So we move on, and this whole life is a training in breathing. In Burma, this meditation is called Vipassana. In the West, we have called it mindfulness, but it doesn't mean fullness of mind. It definitely doesn't mean the content that floats around in our mind constantly. To who I say, if you have annoying thoughts, let them be like sand in a lake. Don't give them so much attention. Give attention to the lake, to the space. And this is an instruction, so that the annoying thoughts get to the bottom like the grains of sand would in a lake. Let's do a short meditation.
That's a really good idea. Okay, let's do that.
We can do it with eyes open or eyes closed.
Okay.
This little skin doesn't make a difference. It really does. We can close our eyes if we feel that this is the way we exclude the visual attention, and we can focus on our breath. Be quiet for a moment and just focus on breathing in as high as you can in your brain and above it, and as low as you're capable through your sole of the feet to the center of the earth. And another breath in which the ray out of our head projects to the sun, or maybe the sun projects its photons into our brain, giving us light. And again the exhalation to the center of the earth, which is also fire. And let's take our annoying thoughts and burn them in the center of the earth. And let's take our inspiration again to the light of the sun. This is not a visualization, this is an observation that we are connected to the sun. Without the sun, there is no life on this planet. And connected to the gravity center of the earth. Nobody jumps very high, even in an Olympic medal. Gravity brings us down. So the light on one side of the sun, the gravity center of the earth below. And notice if there are any sensations in the body. Maybe there is some tension. Maybe there is some contraction. Maybe there is relaxation. Notice them. And affirm inwardly, I have all these sensations. I am not these sensations. And pay attention to your breath again. Maybe count 5 in. Hold for 7. And breathe out slowly up to 9. 5, 7, 9. 5 in. 7 hold. Exhale 9. Maybe some feelings are showing up now. It could be feelings of sadness, of anger, of boredom, of excitement, of exhilaration, of serenity. Down and up the scale of emotional tones. At the bottom of this emotional scale will be something like lifelessness or depression. At the top it will be peace. And we notice our breath again. When we notice it and become aware of it, we know that it's happening generously all the time, even when we're feeling emotions. And this life force is here. As we say in an affirmed way, I have all these emotions. I am not these emotions. 5 in, 7 hold, 9 exhale. A couple of times. And again, as we inhale, we become aware that the sun is radiating as before through us, and the gravity is holding us to the center of the earth. It is not only happening when we notice it, like other dimensions are happening, and we notice them when we tune in. But they don't happen because we tune in. We become aware. It's like having this multi-channel television. It is not only transmitting when we turn on the TV. It's always transmitting. But we connect channel X, channel Y. I have the good fortune of having European news and American news and Latin American news and Middle Eastern news, and Russian news. In some cases, I don't understand what they say, but they're still transmitting. And we take another breath. 5, 7, 9. And again, we inhale into the sun and exhale to the center of the earth. Everything flows through us. And we notice that we're having thoughts about this. Maybe thoughts that this meditation is too long, or maybe thoughts that we can't imagine, or maybe thoughts that we're doing very well, maybe thoughts that we're learning something. And we deeply affirm, I have these thoughts. I am not these thoughts. I just have them. It's like tuning into the thought channel. Then, after taking a couple of breaths, we notice that we might have memories. Memories of other meditations or similar meditations, or maybe non-meditation. But being present. I have these memories, we say, I am not these memories. So much of the dysfunction on our planet is based on identification on the international level with memories, on the relationship level with feelings, and on the personal level with sensations and thoughts. Yes, we have all that. But we're not that. We could go on, but we'll bring it to an inspiration that says I in the breath, and the exhalation I, So the inspiration connects to the light of the sun. The exhalation connects to the center of the earth. They say that from dust we come and to dust we go, but that is our body. From light we come, and to light we go when we transcend.
Thank you, Dr. Carlos. What a beautiful meditation and a beautiful reminder too, that we are light.
Yes.
We are light. So let's talk a little bit about identity.
When we stop the domestication of indoctrination, of false identification, the mystics of Islam, the Sufis, call that the nafs, the sub-personalities, we could say, in the West, that take over our life, be it a traumatic experience or being a wonderful experience. Graduating from a university and being a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer or an IT technician or a nurse, on and on, is a position we take, but we are not that. We only do that. When we're doctoring, we're doctoring. When we're prosecuting, we're prosecuting. But it's an action, a function. It's not who we are. When we have a beautiful marriage, we're not that marriage. We're not the other person either. We are. When we don't have a beautiful marriage, and we go through the trials and tribulations that lead to divorce, We're not that divorced. It's just an action that we have created to move on. When we have a business and it's successful, we're all happy with it. And yet, when it's not successful, we're not. But the almighty system, let's call it that way for a moment, is the good creator. But it leaves us to manage these sub-personalities, these ego personalities, so that they don't take over the essence of the present, which is life. I am life. At least I'm more identified with being life than with not being life. You know, I went through some serious health challenges in the last 3 years.
I know you've had quite a few scares. Tell us a little bit about that and what that has done for you.
But there wasn't really scares. There was some moments which were very difficult to experience. People would ask me, are you going to make it? Are you going to win? Are you going to surrender? Are you going to die? To everything I answered no. And what are you going to do then? And I answered, the only thing I know, live. We don't know anything else but living. At least in this lifetime, we live. And when we love this life, we can enjoy it. Or better, if we can enjoy it, we will love it deeply.
Mm.
And the enjoyment is a simple reasoning. The reasoning is we're on a train. The train is life. And we see that some people get off. Some people get off at any time. Young, old, healthy, sick, athletic, non-athletic. And as a doctor, we give a diagnosis. The cause of death was the heart that failed, or the kidneys that failed, or the brain that failed, or the lungs that failed. Or somebody ran the person over. Or somebody got drunk and went into a coma. Or overdosed. We give those names. I respectfully submit that the cause of death, as we think we know it in this dimension, is an encounter with the angel of death that invites us to move on. Where? Here is where speculation happens. Some people think heaven, some people think hell. Some people think like me. I don't know. But there's definitely transcendence, because where I reside is outside of creation. I enter creation to do things, hopefully a contribution, hopefully a service, hopefully something that I think from my heart will benefit somebody. Not for me, for you. And then I'm thankful. Like I'm thankful for this opportunity to express.
It's interesting how sometimes we get fixated on that sense of identity, the labels that we give ourselves. You're either a mother, you're a wife, you're a teacher, you're a doctor, you're a lawyer. And then that defines us. And that's not truly who we are.
One of my teachers called this passports in the land of fools.
Passports in the land of fools.
Because in the
Okay.
land of fools, there is a demand, basically, to answer the question, what do you do? You go to a cocktail party, what do you do?
Yes.
Meet somebody, what do you do? I do this, what do you do? But the question that I feel is more fundamental is not who are you, but who am I? The saint in India, Ramana Maharshi, who spent 40 years sitting in meditation with the question, who am I? 40 years. Then he moved on. He died, they say. He moved on, let's call it. It's less terrorific to call it transcendence than death.
Mm.
We have made death the enemy, not the key to other experiences. Two twins in the womb. One believes there is a life outside the womb, and one believes there is not life outside the womb, that is going to be the end. And the contractions begin. And here we have a psychological trauma, the trauma of the birth canal, the trauma of birth.
Mm.
One is right, there is a life, but it looks very different. It is not aquatic. It is not surrounded by amniotic fluid. It is not nourished by arteries and veins that come from the mother. It is not held in place thanks to the placenta. It is more mobile. We're born, we learn to crawl, we learn to walk, we learn to run, we learn to fly, we go to the space station. There's one billionaire that wants to go to Mars. Good. Interesting exploration of our senses, because we see through telescopes that Mars exists and we want to go there. We went to the moon, or so they say. What did we do? We planted a flag. We identified the moon with the identity of the nationality of the first people that went there. How ridiculous. You know, we don't know, we haven't experienced that there is life on the moon. We thought in this planet there are animate and inanimate objects. But the truth of the matter is that there are different levels of animation. We think that we're the center.
Of the universe.
We can speak it.
Mm.
But who knows? Who knows if my dogs don't have more feelings? When my wife would go to the bathroom in her convalescence, her dog would follow her and be there. When I had a surgery 7 months ago and I hardly could walk, one of the dogs would walk with me 3 steps ahead, turn his head to see if I was coming, and move again 3 steps ahead. What a care, what a knowledge. So I've been learning that the plants and the trees talk. They don't talk in this articulated language of the third frontal circumvolution called the center of language. But they express, they say, they love, they live, they love. It's so close.
So how do we de-identify? How do we go back to who we truly are?
Well, I just showed you meditation. Do that for 40 years. Know that you have sensations, emotions, feelings, memories, past lives, if you will. They are only to be noticed if they have an emotional charge that need to be healed. But we also have another trauma, ancestral trauma, not from our genealogy, but from those that existed in the past, like us, whose work, whose research, whose investigation has given us the world that we have today, for good or for bad. But they also had incidents that we need to clear in our consciousness. You know, I watched a movie yesterday called Argentina 1985. I was there sometime, in which they prosecuted the criminals that were the government that disappeared. They say only 30,000 people. One would be too much. I recommend it. Argentina 1985. The trial of the generals, the admirals, these powerful criminals who did and allowed the disappearance of people. We are surrounded by these people who also are exactly like us. Same organs, but different actions. Their expression was criminal. Like Putin, doing war crimes through his people, tolerating them, initiating a war because of an identification with the great mother Russia. I was friends with a man that went to the moon, Edgar Mitchell. And he told me that as this ship was going away into space from Earth, and he was a military guy and a very conservative Christian, he looked down and he saw no separation between one place and another. No country line, no borders, no frontiers, no religion, no army. And when he came back, he quit all that. I had the opportunity of visiting him in his house in Florida. He was going through the same things we go through, the daily problems that we call from life.
Yes.
But he had that perception, that perspective. And he founded an institute that, as it is common in this planet, became a fossil, the Institute of Noetic Sciences, the Institute of Science of Knowledge.
Right.
And as he left, because they told him he was too far out, it became very normal, very conditioned, very like any other college campus. I used to speak 30 years ago at their yearly meetings.
Okay.
Not anymore.
It's gone.
It's very formal. No, they're there, but I'm not there.
Okay.
Not interested. Not because it's bad. It does good work. It does research in psychic sciences and things like that. But it crystallized.
Okay.
Entropy.
Stopped progressing.
Right. Entropy prevailed.
Okay.
And please don't think I'm bad-mouthing this institute. I love many of the people who have been presidents and board members. But everything on this planet has entropy, gravity. And we need to meditate constantly. Like I showed you before. Now, am I going to be sitting and meditating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?
No.
But I'm going to keep that channel of awareness that that's happening. That I'm not by sensations, that I'm not my emotions, that I'm not my story, that I'm not my ancestry. I have ancestry. I have a story,
That it
but I'm not
doesn't define who you are.
exactly. I'm not
Fantastic.
not my race or nationality or religious beliefs or philosophical beliefs or cosmic belief even. So there's a purity in being, in I am. But the question is, who am I persists. So I have to keep that channel tuned and open
And open.
and open.
Beautiful end to this afternoon segment, Dr. Carlos.
Thank you.
Thank you
It was
so
a pleasure.
much for coming online and sharing your wisdom with us today. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. I hope this segment will give you pause to really think about this thing we call life, in remembering that you are not your labels. You are far greater than that, and that there's only life and life and life. No one dies. We just transition into a different energy form
Of life.
of life. I love that. We'll be back again next week with more healing conversations with Dr. Carlos Warter. Thank you, everybody who's tuned in. Have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And bye for now. Thank you, Dr. Carlos.
Thank you.